everyone. Welcome back to another rousing episode of Internet Genius. You've come to the place to get your IQ stoked. Welcome into the fold, everyone. We are back, and we're just going to be casual today. We're going to be crazy. We're going to do whatever we want to do. We're going to feel our hearts and our minds expand with the power of friendship, as we do in our beloved JRPGs, which will be like mostly talking about, I guess, is the plan. And we'll see if it drifts into anything else. Noni is here, hanging my head in shame. Noni joins us once again. It's over, gentlemen.
Survives another month, another episode. My favorite JRPG is Rants. You know, a little known gem, can I say.
We all love Rants. What a wonderful series. Noni survives basically like a season of Squid Game in between every episode of Internet Genius, and he's the only contestant, or I'm trying to eliminate him, but he just keeps surviving. One day we'll be rid of him, folks. I pray for that day. Hey, forget all that. Joining us, guys, is a very cool individual with a cool channel I've been watching lately. We have a lot of similar interests. We've got a lot in common. And I discovered his channel personally as people were telling me. I mean, in my case, it was like, played Expedition 33. Who's got interesting things to say about it? And people were like, check out this channel featuring this man. It is Mike of Resonant Arc. Woo! Yes!
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. This is really cool. I was telling you a little bit before we made a plan to do this episode together that I've been watching your channel for years and years and years. And so it's an honor to be inducted into the Internet Genius.
You're an Internet Genius, man. Yep, if you're here, you made it.
Into the fold. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. I mean, is there anything, I'm just curious, because some people like, I don't know, various different things. Is there like, some people are like the Gurren Lagann guys. Some people are like, he's the guy that did that one video about Tifa's tits with the FF7 remake. Is there anything that stands out to you as a thing you enjoyed that I produced in the past?
I believe... And I can't remember which of these came first, but I know that both of them were like videos I watched all the way through. And it was your those long lectures you give. The first one you did on Final Fantasy. Did that one come first, or did the Kingdom Hearts one come first?
Kingdom Hearts was first. Final Fantasy was the next year.
Okay, I want to say it was one of those two, but I feel like it was the Kingdom Hearts one I saw first, and then. Saw the Final Fantasy one. I just watched the Star Trek one that you did recently. I know
great.
Did you do? You ended up doing a second episode on, was it FF or was it Kingdom Hearts? There was one that you did 2 episodes on, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, recent, like a year ago, I released the Kingdom Hearts 102.
Yeah,
catching up to speed.
Yes, so I watched.
And of course,
that
now
one
there's
all
the Kingdom Hearts 4 stuff. I'm behind on all the. We got to make it Kingdom Hearts 103 coming any day now, folks, to catch us up more. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. So that's where I got started, but I've seen a ton of other stuff in between there. Loved your input on everything, your style. That's one thing in particular that I really admire about you. I'm a very, very grave, severe, serious boy who takes everything seriously.
No doubt.
And so your sense of humor and your approach to it was something that I really enjoyed. It's very entertaining. And
well, thank you.
And your perspective on a lot of these games that I've played and grew up loving was great to hear as well. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, great. And you're obviously our sort of like JRPG interests overlap massively, and you seem to be among the fellow intellectuals with some pointed thoughts about the remake culture we find ourselves in right now.
Oh yeah,
and the various tendrils and machinations that's amounting to. So we can certainly talk about that, but. I guess, well, hey, first, of course, guys, let me say, guys, we've got Mike from Resonant Arc. It's happening. So you have literally no choice but to go to patreon.com/internetgenius to reward us for our industry and forthrightness and friendship that we're doing. Yeah, and a very smooth transition. Hey, guys, we just recorded the new bonus episode. Noni, what was it even about? We talked about Kingdom Hearts and some other stuff, too, I think.
Frozen.
Some more Star Trek behind the scenes.
Frozen 2 of all things.
Talked about Disney Frozen stuff.
Frozen 2 of all things.
We did discuss quite a bit of Frozen lore and other miscellaneous Disney products and stuff. I guess because we were kicked off by Kingdom Hearts talk. Yeah, go listen to it. It was epic. And of course, you will learn more of the laws of power as we are marching our way toward total world domination, total global conquest. as we prepare to launch the missiles into every capital city on every nation worldwide. This is our ultimate goal here at Internet Genius. Any day now, we'll be pulling the trigger on that. Until that day, let's talk about JRPG stuff with Mike here. Actually, hey, but before we even get into that, I just wanted to ask. So, every YouTuber kind of comes to the table of their own accord and figure stuff out. I think your channel is like relatively young. Is that correct? Like a couple of years?
No.
Oh no.
Our channel has been
Okay.
through several iterations. We actually got started on YouTube like back in 2010, like a super long time ago. But that channel was entirely like visual effects and sort of filmmaking focused. But we did a lot of parodies and sort of comedy sketches and things like that were based on games. We ended up working with Nintendo and Ubisoft in a couple of videos there. But then we sort of transitioned from that into this gaming channel around like 2015, 2016, I want to say. And the channel was called something different at that time. It was called Dark Pixel Gaming. And then we changed that name around the 2020 pandemic era. And so we started our podcast in the form that's kind of like the predominant sort of content we do now. In late 2020, early 2021 is when we started that. So this iteration, I would say, is about 5-6 years old, something like that.
Okay,
memories
that's what I
unlocked. It's just like Kingdom Hearts in my brain, and I'm like, Resonant Arc, and I'm hearing your voice right now, and I'm like, I fucking feel like I've heard this man before. Dark Pixel. I remember that. I fucking watched those videos. I remember this.
Yes. I did a big Final Fantasy retrospective. That was kind of like where I first kind of took off a little bit. Yeah. That was kind of where I got my start as far as like this particular gaming channel, and where it kind of took off was from those.
Oh, excuse me. Oh God, something caught in my throat. Noni, cut this. I don't know what I just caught in my throat. Oh, geez. Okay, that was rough.
I don't get paid enough to cut those.
Yeah, you get paid more than enough, buddy. So I'm just curious, would you say that you've had like your most success recently, like with your current format?
No. Well, it depends on how you measure success, I suppose. Like in our first channel, we had a video there that had like almost 90 million views.
That'll do it.
We had a bunch of like really, really mega viral videos, but the platform was so different back then. And our videos were in like the 2 to 5 minute at most range, and it was all really, really heavy visual effects. We wanted to get into filmmaking and visual effects, so that's kind of like what our outlet was for that. So we had a bigger channel at that time. We had about 250,000 subscribers on that one, and just tons and tons of views. But we were never able to really build like an audience that felt like they were really into what we were doing. It was more just like a lot of people kind of visiting for a bit and then, bouncing or whatever. So what we're doing now, I would say, is more successful on that other metric. Like people are actually sticking around for years and years. We've been able to grow our Patreon here in a way we couldn't do before. And so it kind of depends on how you measure success. But I like what we're doing now a little bit more than what we were doing then.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you see I occasionally will stumble on this, and I'll see somebody doing really well, and I'm like, man, these guys got to be raking it in on Patreon. And then you click, and there's very little conversion from like the big view counts to a Patreon. And I mean, depending on the kind of content you're making, you might be making serious money just from YouTube, or maybe not, And for a lot of people, obviously, the dream is for it to be their full-time job. And so to get from there to there, sometimes like the business model that you've even spent years developing simply will not work, and maybe you're missing something, or the format that you're trying to do is missing something, or it's like overly cumbersome, or any of another billion other problems that you're going to have. So I mean, I'm kind of trying to figure it out, trying new things. We got a new podcast going here, folks. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Having a lot of fun here, but please help me make money. It's good stuff. Well, I mean, let's just. So I guess the sort of overarching topic that we can stick to exactly as much as we feel like, and not a second more than that, is sort of like the modern state of JRPGs. And it's feeling dark out there for me. It's feeling like dark times. Looking at, I've been dipping my toes in, playing a bit. You know what? I'm not even going to go into it. Nobody knows. I'm not even going to go into what I'm playing right now. The people can speculate on their own. Let's just say I've been experiencing some darkness in my life when it comes to some quote-unquote JRPGs that I've been playing recently, and I'm feeling punished. Okay, I'll just cut to the chase and be like, what's the big example? Hey, remember those? You were there, no doubt. Those end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s.
Oh,
man,
yes.
We sure got a lot of Final Fantasies back then, didn't we? Sure got them one after another.
That was the best time to be alive. Best time to be alive, man. Right there.
I remember I went over a friend's house, and he just, like, presented me, like, hey, here's Final Fantasy 9. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I thought there was, like, only 7, and I just heard about Final Fantasy 8 yesterday. Now you're telling me there's a Final Fantasy 9? This is, like, the craziest experience of my life. And now it's like, I suppose to say that the line has been like, it takes a decade in between. It's not quite a decade these days. They're trying to mix things up. And, I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time, but like the AAA nature of the business has added such bloat, such slowdown. And it always saddens me to see how much they feel the need. It seems like, big companies like Square Enix, big sort of calcified, ancient, lumbering entities in the, in the video game industry now, like them, even though it's all relatively young, obviously. They just, they're like, oh, no, we gotta take 10 years, really work on this thing for 1,000,000 years, and there's just no way this is the best model. There's just no way. But they think it is.
They're trying to change it, like slowly.
Just for example, it's interesting to note how with Final Fantasy 16, which I've yet to play, but I'm going to one of these days soon, they put Yoshi P in charge. They said, so this guy made 14. He took a failing product, made it successful, and like the most beloved, MMORPG of like the decade or something. And it was super popular, and it made us a lot of money. It's like single-handedly holding our company afloat right now. And let's just put him in charge of like a single-player one. And, from what I've heard, it didn't really make like the best one. And I know I heard you guys talk about this on your show recently. Final Fantasy has such an identity crisis, and just to finish my preamble so you can respond, there's this line that always gets said that's like, I bet you have heard this a lot in your musings on the subject. People say, well, Final Fantasies were always iterating. They were always reinventing themselves. And thus, there like, quote unquote, is no true Final Fantasy. And I find this to be like such an unbelievable cope. Because, you look at Final Fantasy like 1 through, let's say 6, there is such an obvious, clear through line of connective tissue that, sure, has variances between them, but, like, there is a core identity. And so, as they get to, like, you hit the wall of, like, 10, and then obviously 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, we're all over the map now. We're all scattered, and I certainly feel in my soul the hunger for, like, great classic JRPGs that I'll just do my shout out right now and say, and you know what filled that hole? What scratched that itch? Neo Twowie. Neo Twowie was such a gift in the darkness of actually from Square Enix itself. But what a rabbit hole the Neo Twowie subject is. Anyway, I just want to open the floor to you. How do you see things? It doesn't have to be about Square Enix. What do you think? Do you have optimism for where things are going, or do you, like me, feel gloom and doom and black-pilled and despair maxing that we're spiraling down the tubes?
What a series of fucking words.
I
know. This is exactly in the wheelhouse of what we talk about all the time. We used to do a lot more of it than we do now because... In all honesty, I've already moved through all the stages of grief on this subject. I am now no longer like bothered by really any of it in particular. There's always great stuff
I
coming
rotate
out.
through. I rotate through the different stages on a regular basis. Today I'm sad. Tomorrow I'm coping in denial. Tomorrow I'll be in anger. That's how I bounce around.
Yeah. So obviously we have an audience that kind of likes our perspective on Final Fantasy, and so we're going to keep talking about it, and we'll kind of keep up with the series. But I'm no longer at a place where I've got like these really powerful, sort of passionate feelings about the state of it currently or where it's going. So it's kind of nice to be in that place, honestly, where I can kind of just like keep up with it and play them if I feel like doing that. And if not, that's okay too. But for a long time, I mean, a really long time, this was basically just an unbelievably baffling thing for me to witness.
Yeah.
And you're right in the sense that there is no identity. As far as like the Final Fantasy brand goes, but
Mike, there's a cactuar. I can literally see a cactuar on the screen. What more do you want?
Chocobo chats, Chocobo Bros in every game.
It's always interesting to me how that kind of window dressing is what some people will describe as the spirit or like the through line or like what Final Fantasy is. But you talk to any two different fans online and they're going to have a totally different answer to that. And they all think that their perspective on it is what it is. And they think it's obvious and that you're dumb for not knowing that that's what it is. It's a really strange fan base. I guess that's kind of how all internet fan bases are, honestly. They're all kind of prickly and they like to argue about dumb stuff. But Final Fantasy in particular is so interesting a case to me because you have all these different eras of people who came into it from such radically different types of projects that what it is to them is whatever it was that they played for the first time, or maybe they even watched something like an anime or Advent Children or something like that and kind of came into it through that avenue. And even it seems like each numbered release that comes out is some radical departure from the one that just barely came out before it. So Final Fantasy 16 is a completely different genre of video game than Final Fantasy 15. It is not an open world game. It is more of a character action style game, something like a Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry or something like that. And so if someone came in on FF15 and then FF16 comes out, I was like, whoa, this is not anything like the game that I liked. And then you go back to FF13, it's a totally different game. And you go back to Final Fantasy 12, it's a totally different game. So the differences between the baseline construction and game design philosophy of these modern titles is they have almost nothing in common. And I'm talking strictly about game design philosophy, the type of game it is and how you play it. If you go back to Final Fantasies 1 through 9, there is a very, very clear through line of similar gameplay style. There are,
of course, I just notice how we both said the same number? That's not an accident. That proves psychically we are thinking along the same lines. It's not a fantasy, you know?
Yes, it's and I want to say, I really like Final Fantasy X. So this is not like a diss on FF10 to say this. But FF10 is where you started to see radical departures from that sort of classic game design philosophy. So, but FF10 is an all-time classic. We did a whole podcast series on it. I think it's like 15 episodes. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. So I'm not saying anything like that. But where this rift happens,
grown to love it. Yeah.
Where this rift began is actually really fascinating to me because it's Edge Magazine. I want to shout them out. They did a great retrospective. I think it's a 2017 issue of Edge Magazine where they interviewed like, I don't know how they got this access. It's like so hard to like get in touch with any of these people. Trust me, I've tried. But they had Kitase and Hironobu Sakaguchi and Amano and like producers and Nomura and just like everybody, right? And so right around the time Final Fantasy VII was in development, you had a sort of internal rift between Kitase and Sakaguchi. And Kitase, and actually it wasn't just him, there was a lot of other people too. Hiromichi Tanaka, who came into Square the same time that Sakaguchi did back in the like early 80s, 1984, 1985, something like that. They both were college students. They came in together and they both became game directors of separate teams. And they, Sakaguchi talks about how he realized people liked Tanaka a little bit better than him, and he felt like he wasn't as popular. But so I don't know if there was necessarily a rivalry there. But point is, Tanaka worked on some of those early Final Fantasy games, the NES trilogy, and he believed, as they moved into the Super Nintendo, we shouldn't make these characters these little chibi guys. We should try to make them, taller, more detailed. But Sakaguchi was adamant that this chibi style pixel art, which was really unique to that series, was something that they needed to retain. And so Tanaka ended up leaving and going to make the Secret of Mana series, right? And doing other stuff because they disagreed about this. So here comes Kitase as sort of like the next round of junior developers who become, they advance as it goes on. He becomes the director of Final Fantasy VI. He also wants to change the visual style of the series, as well as some other stylistic things. And 7 is this really interesting blend between those two things, like a compromise almost, where you have the chibi Lego dudes that run around on the world map, but in the battles, you got those taller, more proportioned characters. And in a lot of the FMV sequences, it's the same thing, right? But then Sakaguchi says, okay, I will let you and your team go do Final Fantasy VIII the way that you want to. He says this directly in the interview in Edge magazine. I will not interfere. This is your thing. You do it the way you want. And this is where they started splitting Final Fantasy into separate teams. They had 3 different teams working on 3 different projects at the same time. So Kitase goes and they start making FF8, and Sakaguchi is invited to go take a look at what they've been working on. And he clearly does not like it. Like, he's not into the way they're designed. He doesn't like the school setting. He doesn't like the taller models. He's like, don't you think maybe you could do it a little bit more? So there was a schism there. And you'll notice that Kitase and his group go on to do FF10 after that, and then FF13, and so on, although the 13 trilogy, I suppose. And Sakaguchi immediately went to do FF9, and he says in this article, I tried to pull the rudder hard back the other way to make FF9 feel like the classic ones that started this series. It was like a love letter to the earlier titles in that sense. So, a lot of people know the story with what goes on with the merger with Enix, and Sakaguchi ends up leaving, and Kitase kind of becomes the executive producer of the series. And so that's where you start to see there isn't that sort of through line as far as game design goes. They start
We've lost the prime connection, the root underpinning everything, it seems like. And it's moved past that.
Exactly. And that's not a statement about like, oh, Sakaguchi is a better game designer. It's just, it's an observation about the differences in how they are structured, designed, and produced. And a lot of people will fire back on that with, well, Sakaguchi wasn't, ever since FF5, he wasn't a director anymore, and he wasn't like that creatively involved. That's not correct. Many times Kitase has been quoted as saying he was the producer, but he closely basically evaluated all the stuff that I would bring to him. And he was very particular about how it should be done. So he was a very involved producer, but there came a point, like I said, where he said, fine, I'll let you do it the way you want. Kitase obviously wanted more freedom there, and he gave it to him. And anyways, so now we're at a point where it seems like every new game that comes out, you have a completely different team assigned to work on. There's like no continuity between them. Outside of this new Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, they have been able to sort of retain their core group for that. But that's the reason why.
In some sense. They brought in so many new developers. They've got some people at the top. Yes, they're the same. It's been decades. We don't need to get into a whole debate about, but yes, I understand the point you're making. I could talk for a long time about that. I'll put that to the side and let you talk.
But that's why
it haunts my dreams.
The continuity between mainline titles is essentially gone. It's totally because it's a totally different team, a totally different like director and creative vision behind how to do a Final Fantasy game. So you'll have something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where they say we're targeting a certain rating, right? We don't want to get a rated M on this, so we have to take out the blood in the Shinra building in the part.
Right.
You know, we can't do that because we don't want the game to be rated M. But then Final Fantasy 16 is a rated M game where they're throwing F-bombs everywhere and there's like tons of blood and stuff. And it's all like, you know,
the
super
sex scene.
Yeah, right.
A full-on sex scene,
That's what I mean is like even between teams under the same brand, there is a completely different idea about how the game should be made, what the tone should be, what the vision should be. That is, it's really, really hard to wrap your head around it and understand, like, from a business perspective, why it's being allowed to be run this way. Because if you have one director over here saying, no, rated M's fine, and another one over here saying, absolutely not, like, they don't have the same, there's no, like, what do you call it? Like a brand guide, like a style guide or something where they're all following, right? Yeah.
Well, tell me if you think this, does this make sense to you that, like, I basically see this sort of industry, this sort of art-made industry, like video games, you know, like many of these things, it really at a certain point develops inertia and continues to be a runaway train. Yeah. And because the corporate entity itself continues, it needs to self-perpetuate, and, you know, guys like Sakaguchi, those people do fall away. However, the juggernaut continues to move. Nothing will stop the progress of the machine. That is now a self-perpetuating system that needs to, you know, it needs input of cash flow and it needs to produce new things. And you do begin to lose the like sort of artistic aspects of the various people here and there. And my conclusion ultimately is that I think if we live in a world, as we do, where it is like art made into corporatized, profit-seeking artifacts, you know, consumables, whatever, the commodities, etc., basically you kind of require a system to full-on die and collapse. Like, Square Enix would need to, like, go under for there to be, like, a rebirth of, like, the new... It's like, you know, it's like the end of Princess Mononoke, how the king of the forest, the spirit of the forest, had to die in order for, like, the plant life to spread everywhere, and then, like, new begins. And this is just, like, the natural cycle of entropy and resurrection and, you know, the ongoing circle of life. And, you know, I know that sounds a little cynical. I'm not, like... Would I really mind if they kind of went away? I mean, it might not be the worst thing in the world, because it would kind of free the individuals that are trapped there and let them, like, do other shit. And that'd be kind of cool. But instead we get what I see as a very hollowed out husk that it does continue. Occasionally, I appreciate that Yoshi P was, like, given, like, hey, take the next numbered Final Fantasy. I guess it's 16. Do something with it. And he did, and people seem to think it was okay, and I'm gonna play it, and, like, hopefully it'll be okay. Most people seem generally not too impressed by it, and like you said, it's, like, not really, like, what a Final Fantasy was, so what even does the term mean anymore? Kind of unclear. Yeah. I don't know.
I want to, you know, cut in as not an old, you know, man. As someone
Noni's a young little baby boy. Yes,
I didn't, you know, enter the Final Fantasies with, you know, 1 to 6, or even, you know, what I think is the landmark, which is 7.
Yeah, sure.
I entered with fucking 15 of all things. I'm one of those guys that, like,
it's over. The West has fallen. There's no hope for man. Imagine starting with Final Fantasy 15.
Did you like it though? Were you a fan of that game? Did you like FF15?
I mean, I was 14, literally 14 or 15 when I played it.
Oh, you know? My God.
But yeah,
I'm
smile.
so old.
I'm so sorry, Nate.
Dude, were you flossing? Were you flossing to Noctis?
It's like, why did you play the old ones? It's because when I was a teenager, this was the game around. This was the thing people were talking about.
Dude, no. Noni loved playing to the end of that game, getting the bad ending, and then having to buy DLC like 5 years later to get, like, the good ending. Noni loved that about Final Fantasy 15.
And it wasn't completed.
Noni loved, as I did, not being able to play as any other character than Noctis until you buy the DLC, and then you can play as the other characters. I have such rage for Final Fantasy 15, what they did to me. There was no way I was going to go back and play that game more. I already beat it. I'm not playing it again. That game was not good. But anyway,
my experience
it was okay.
with Final Fantasy is watching Nate's video about Final Fantasy 15. And then, you know, 2 years, 3 years, something like that passes. And then I get, like, the complete edition windows. One of was like, it was like after they canceled everything, they're like, we're not gonna finish the DLCs, we're not gonna do that. If you want the real ending, go buy the novel or something like that.
Watch the movie. You gotta watch the movie if you want to know the story.
And I was playing it, and let me tell you, the fact it was such a bizarre experience, because I watched Nate's video. Like, it was like a 40-minute video being like, this is bad, this is bad, why the fuck is it like this? And I'm playing the game, and I'm like, I can switch between characters. What was Nate talking about? Oh, Nate said there was no cutscene about this, but I'm literally watching a cutscene about the plot point. He said, why isn't this here? And I'm like, what is happening? And then I checked the changelog, the updates, and I'm like, yes, we did just add this in an update. Yes, you can't drive off-road now. That was an update that happened later.
What a wonderful game. They made it 5 years after it was done and played by everybody. And also, I don't even understand. I haven't done the research. They like give you like a happy ending if you play like all the DLC or something, right? Isn't that like how it like truly ends? I don't even know. Noni, do you know?
It's kind of a cliffhanger thing. I know the novel.
Cliffhanger. Okay, great.
Because it's multiple DLCs, but the last one didn't get made. That was supposed to tie it up.
Oh, geez. Wow, what a great plan that was, guys.
The happy ending exists in the novels, which are canon, not spin-offs or side. They're canon. They're like, by the way, this was the story of the DLC. Here you go in your written format. You can just go read it.
Dude, it's like the secret bad ending of Final Fantasy X is in that like one novel where Tidus gets his head blown off by an exploding blitzball or whatever it was, right? That's like the true ending of Final Fantasy. I think it all works out for them, but yeah.
I started with 15, so I never had this idea of the identity of Final Fantasy. I went back and played 6 and a little bit of 7. Then I played the remakes. And I'm like, I can see the difference. I also played 10. Played 10. Cannot forget that I did play 10.
Sure.
Tonally, they're all over the place. Mechanically, they're so vastly different. Like, I think there is a distinct difference between like 6 and 7 and 10 for all intents and purposes. And I feel like they're going
You're looking at like a small section of like Final Fantasies. Like, yes, you're looking at before the big change and after the big change. Yes, there's a lot of variety there. Really, from Final Fantasy 1 to 6, is there a difference? Of course, there's difference, but like there's connective tissue. It's really not that different between most of those games.
If I had to compare them, in my opinion, and I think this is way simpler because there's way less fucking games in it, Persona. The people that made Persona 1 and 2 and the Devil Egg Trigger, I think it's called, spin-offs. And then the person who took from Persona 3, 4, and 5, and then, which is similar thing is happening right now with Persona, which is the dude who made, Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5. They have like a very, like, if you play them back to back, you can see the literal evolution, not reiteration, evolution of what this fucker is trying to do. And then he's like, I don't like the direction we want to head with 6. I'm going to go away and just make Metaphor ReFantasio on this, on my little corner. You new guys can handle Persona 6, which is rumored to be like way more adult and way more edgy and all of these extra things. And I'm like, you don't say.
Which we don't want. I want to be a 15-year-old boy dating my teacher, or or whatever else
100%.
The game is designed to do. Well, okay, the subject this is making me think of, and Mark, I'd love to hear your thought about this. It's kind of like we're saying in all these different ways, like the developing team, awakening your brain to video game stuff, kind of 1.0, brain switched on 1.0. It's realizing that like the label Final Fantasy of like a new game doesn't actually mean all the same people worked on that game. You're like, oh wow, there's like staff members that rotate in and out, and there could have been a different director and even art designer and all that stuff. So at a certain point, you figure that out. And yet, even me, old-ass, busted-ass man that I am now, I'm still like, yeah, I do want to play Final Fantasy 16, even though I have not played any Yoshi P games. And it's because of this damn attachment to, like, a brand identity that it's got its hooks in me even now. And the conclusion that we're kind of led to is that, like you said, it really is kind of dead. However, it continues on in name. It continues marching on with like the name, like Final Fantasy number. That means something to a lot of people out there. And I just wonder, like, that really bothers me. It bothers me when I see basically not necessarily that in of itself, that can be okay, but I see like a false stolen valor type situation when like, you know, you put like a new person on Final Fantasy 17 and maybe you scooped him up from, I don't know, it's like the Persona guy, and you just make like the Persona Final Fantasy next. It's like, what does it even mean to be a numbered Final Fantasy anymore? And that's when it sort of gets a little existential, philosophical, and I wonder, it makes me think about big questions like, what is the point of all of this? What are we trying to achieve with these creations? And if it's just money grabbing, if that's like all there is to it, then I don't think that's what I signed up for. I think I was promised a bit more than that, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing the power that these games had on us. I think what all of you're saying speaks to is how profoundly meaningful those games were to us growing up, and like how they changed the way we think about the world. And it left such an impression.
I think about Cloud Strife. I think about the hero that Cloud Strife is to me on a literal daily basis.
Yeah.
I use him as an actual inspiration in my life, and I know he isn't real. I've got him next to my statue of George Washington on my thing over here. My two heroes and my other cast of heroes over here. Sora, Kamina, Lloyd from Spy Family. I've got a whole cast of characters. These guys give me inspiration literally every day as I look up at them as I'm doing work and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like Odysseus in the Odyssey, you know?
Yep.
Was he real? You know, I'm not totally sure, but like he serves a purpose in our lives as a model, as a, you know, an exemplar of certain traits. And anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that dissimilar to like religious iconography or symbols or something like that, right?
Indeed.
Like these symbols, whether it's a character or a logo, this is kind of what, and this gets into your corporate sort of point. That's what corporations want you to feel when you look at their brand logos. They want and it's the same with like sports teams. It's actually really fascinating.
Right.
I used to be really into sports. I'm not so much anymore. Probably because in part I've seen this aspect of it. But those teams change year to year.
Right.
You know, decade to decade. But these people are still just ravenously, passionately loyal to that team because it happens to be in the same city you live in. Like, that has never really made sense to me. I liked certain teams because I liked the players, or I liked the coach's style or philosophy or some element to how that team was constructed. But when that team is dissolved, or when they retire or are traded to other teams, I didn't feel any particular need to stay with that team as like my team. And the thing is that sports fans are so revolted by that thought, like what I'm describing.
It's anathema.
It's like how on earth could they think I'm crazy and I think they're crazy, right? And you know, they're having all their tribal infighting and wars and stuff over this stuff that's just like, dude, you're just praying to an idol. That's all it is. It's just
dude, you know, I'm a Yankee. I'm from New England, and so the Patriots was big growing up, and Brady was in his heyday growing up, being like the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I saw comebacks of Patriots games that dazzle the imagination, like 42-3, and they come back and win. It's like, how is this First of all, what an idiot to get that far behind, but then they won anyway. Holy shit! It was the most amazing thing. And then, you know, Brady retires or whatever, and all my, you know, my whole family, everybody I know is still like, yeah, Patriots, and I do it. I feel some love for the Patriots as well, but I do be like, well, we kind of lost like the greatest player of all time in the game, and it's a little hard to summon as much will to watch it when we're not seeing miraculous comebacks on like a daily basis. So,
right.
Yeah, I certainly get that.
The team is different. The coach is now different, although he's kind of cut from the same cloth as Belichick and stuff. But the point is, these things change so radically that in my brain, it never made sense to like just stick with one particular team just because I'm from that city or something. I liked to follow players and coaches, and I feel exactly the same way about like game publishers and developers. Final Fantasy, the logo means nothing to me now. What meant something to me were the people who were developing the games I fell in love with and following their careers. And I guess part of this is, you know, sort of growing up, maturing a little bit, learning about how things work.
Yeah.
But on your corporate point, I think a big part of this shift that you're noticing is the merger and the move to being a publicly traded corporation right around that turn of the century, right? That they were in talks to do this for a long time. And we got to think about what Squaresoft was in the 80s and 90s, which was not like this sort of giant publicly traded corporation that it is today. And that is always.
Would it be, Mike, can I just say, wouldn't it be an insane coincidence if the crux, right at the turn of the century, the turn of the millennium, really, wouldn't it be insane if that just randomly happened to be when like massive changes happened? If there was no thing, and that happened to coincide with internal massive, what are the odds that it isn't due to the massive internal shakeups and the obvious patterns? Like, by far the most reasonable conclusion is that, yes, those major changes that were made, such as that at the time, Sakaguchi leaving, going public, did in fact cause the problems that we're seeing today. And I guess you need some longitudinal studies to compare to be totally sure and rule out your extraneous factors. But yeah, it's looking that way. It's looking that way.
To answer your question, the chances are 0%.
Yeah, right. There you go.
And we recently did an episode on this because, you know, the prevailing rumor is that because of the failure of The Spirits Within and it lost so much money, and because of that, you know, Sakaguchi was sort of pushed out of Squaresoft.
Dude, she's going to be a digital idol any day now. She's going to be that digital idol. She's going to hit... We're going to the moon. Hatsune Miku made this work a couple of decades later, as I recall. Yeah.
The fact that they did that with that movie and then they tried to repeat it with Lightning is crazy to me, and it failed both times spectacularly.
No, it worked with Lightning. Lightning is real in real life. She's modeling Louis Vuitton right now in Paris, France, and I'm loving it, boys. I'm loving it.
It's specific ideas. I don't get what they were going for. Like, I really don't.
What's his name? What's the guy, who's the director? Toriyama. Toriyama had a vision, you know? He had a vision, and he made it happen, and God bless him for it, you know? We're all living in his world.
Yeah, but, so, you know, this rumor, or the idea, I suppose, that people believed was because of the failure of that movie. So we did an episode on this a few weeks back where you actually break down the financial reports, which are public. I mean, they're in Japanese, so, you know, you
I watched some of your video on that. That was,
But, I mean, several months before the movie even came out, which was in the summer of 2001, I think, Sakaguchi had already been demoted before that. He had already been taken from his executive leadership role as a vice president in Square and was sort of like, you know, demoted. And that was all due to a financial report that came out that essentially was the first time that the company had reported being in the red since its founding. And that was the reason why that happened is really interesting. It had to do with the changing of the way that the accounting was done internally. So basically what they used to do is, and again, part of the, I'm not like, I want to be very clear on this. I'm not like Squaresoft was the most based thing ever and Square Enix sucks.
Yeah,
like that, I'm not making that point. Like there was a lot of things about the way the business was
run.
I'll
make that point for you, Mike. I'll make that point on your behalf, okay? That'll be on me.
there was definitely a maturation process behind like the business side of how they do things that needed to get done. And they were doing that right around this time. So for instance, they would essentially the accounting for like the spending or like the finances for the development on games was not accounted for until the year the game released. So even if they started developing, let's say FF9 in 1999, all the costs for development are not accounted for in the reporting until the game's release year. So that is when they would report that. So this financial report came at a time where that was posted because that game had just come out, year 2000, right? So they're posting not just the profits of FF9, but also the entire development cost in the same financial year, right? Whereas Final Fantasy X had begun the new accounting. So they are accounting development as it's being spent. So you have, and on top of this, they're doing all of this R&D on Play Online for the FF11 thing, which was an enormous freaking cost.
Right.
So all of this comes to a head, and they are accounting for all of those costs in this financial year. But FF10 was supposed to launch right at the end and would have been a huge boost to profits. But they delayed the game by a few months. And that was Sakaguchi's call. And that was the reason why they were in the red. That's it.
Dude, Kitase's in his like shadowy Palpatine hood over his head. He's like, delay the game, sink Sakaguchi once and for all.
There
Damn you, Kitase!
There are reasons to believe, I'll just put it out there, that Kitase might have been totally okay with this. Like, totally okay with this happening. Because he got a lot of power grab on the future of the brand after this. So I'm not even denying that that's a very real possibility, what you're saying.
Those things are real. There is corporate rivalry and, battles and whatnot. Yeah.
Again, it was, the way I understand it was 10 was set up to be like, hey, we're making 10 and you're making 9. Which one? So there was...
Like, which wins,
Yeah, which way is the company going to go after this? And 10 just... for better or worse, I think it's, opinions vary, but then just crushed 9s in terms of numbers.
Yeah. And part of that is also a very, I can't remember the name of the term, but it's an industry term for when you release a game at the very end of a console's life cycle versus
I was going to say the same thing.
Yes.
Being a launch title like 10 was, more or less.
There's a reason why there's a drop-off because... Right at the time Final Fantasy IX releases, the PlayStation 2 is coming out. It's kind of just like at that exact point where like the attention and the excitement and the hype is shifting to a new console generation. So it's not like Final Fantasy IX sold poorly. Even in the financial reports, they say that the sales were strong. So it wasn't that. It was that their particular accounting practices changed at exactly the wrong time. And so... someone had to take the fall for that because Square had just gone public months before this report. So all of your new investors come in, and the first report that these investors get is, we're like bleeding money. And it's just like, who is going to take the fall for that? It ended up being Sakaguchi in a power move by Yoichi Wada, who became the CEO the following year.
Right.
And they had... the two of them, Wada and Sakaguchi, a huge disagreement philosophically about how to do sequels. Like the way we should approach sequels to any game series that we're working on. Wada, and I don't even necessarily think this is wrong, had the idea that we have done all this work and like built these assets and built an audience around, let's say, Final Fantasy X. Why not reuse those assets and those characters and make another game and have it come out quicker and capitalize on that and do a Final Fantasy X too. And Sakaguchi was absolutely against that. He hated that idea for whatever his reasons are. And he said, no, we want to go into each game as if it's the last game we'll ever make, and we're not saving any ideas for a future game. And
how can you hear these words? I know they're paraphrased, whatever. Like, that's obviously the right approach to make the best games possible. There's no argument here other than, but to making money, to make the money for the company. Like, I get it, guys. This is why we on Internet Genius, we officially endorse a patronage model for world, world economics. We need the cardinals of the church to be giving money to like Sakaguchis or whoever. Or we at the Internet Geniuses, we the geniuses need to decide where the money goes. We'll take your money. You little people don't need your money. We'll take it. We'll redistribute it. We'll do you that favor. It's a burden on you anyway. Don't even worry about it. Patreon.com/Internet Genius. That's where you want to deposit it so we can make good use of it. But in all seriousness, I'm not joking. Like, this,
I'm totally
10 out of 10
too.
times, this is a real thing that's happening, and it's not ideal. It's
I
far
would like
from
to
ideal.
drop this interesting observation I'm making right now as we're recording.
Sure.
The Sakaguchi, he might have lost the duel, but he won the war in the worst possible way, which is now the budget for AAA games have inflated so insanely big that it is actually either this succeeds or we explode. Like, actually.
And one day,
it's crazy.
it's going to explode. It's going to happen eventually. It has to.
I think that it's so funny that Final Fantasy VII was essentially the first AAA game ever made and started this whole trend of that. But the company was not like the giant kind of corporation we think of when we think of the EAs and things like that. So they spent that kind of budget and had that kind of crazy product. And it was a huge risk that, you know, that is not the same. It's not that there isn't huge risk in the way that they do things now, but it's not the same. And so
it kind of taught the wrong lesson that a big company like makes a good game, but no, they like you said, they're like they're pioneers on this.
Yes.
It was heralded by artists that really were trying to make something great, and they pioneered so much. Nobody had seen cutscenes in games like they saw in Final Fantasy VII. It actually was groundbreaking. Unfortunately, many bad lessons were learned from it. And again, unfortunately, a lot of those things actually do sell in the short term. People like spectacle. It's just that kind of now at, you know, hey, Mickle curve enjoyers, we are at the top of the Mickle curve here. We are really hitting those diminishing returns very hard, very fast with spiraling budgets. And
I mean, a part of what fueled that sort of approach to making big games was the fact that each console generation were these giant leaps technologically that were visibly huge. Like,
dude, Final Fantasy X was just night and day from like 9 or 8 or, you know, total new world.
And it's not that there aren't similar leaps or that they're not maybe even greater in certain cases. It's that they're
harder to notice now.
They're not as visibly noticeable immediately when you look at it.
Dude, shout out to the rope physics of Last of Us 2. Those rope physics are crazy. They're deeply impressive. You could make a whole game out of the rope physics of Last of Us 2, as I said in my Mickle video. But
that's a great example.
But they show up for like 2 minutes.
Literally, somebody made a whole video being like, let's actually sit down and really like analyze these fucking physics. Like, Jesus Christ, why is it like this?
They had a whole team probably working on that one aspect of this game, and that's kind of the problem. You literally could make that an entire game by itself right there, and then have lore added to it, and have cutscenes and characters that you love. Rope physics simulator with all your favorite characters.
Yeah, I mean that's the way the industry. That's the way the industry developed. I mean, it went from this incredibly new, immature medium, and was fueled by this chase of like the technology becoming just unbelievably impressive year after year, console generation after console generation. And so when you start hitting that point where you're getting the diminishing returns, how does the industry now redefine itself? And it seems the player sentiment is saying, well, we're not as interested in those technological advancements. We want you to make a fun game to play. We want you to focus on the basics again. And so
we're going through that process of transference right now, it feels like, for sure.
That's what it seems to me. And so I think what's going to rescue this industry from what seems to me a very obvious bubble collapse is represented in a game like Expedition 33, which it has enough of sort of the technological graphical spectacle to be able to sit alongside games that cost many hundreds of millions of dollars more to make, so that it's not like an obvious downgrade in that sense, but it is so focused on those basics in a way
notice
that,
how everybody praised the graphics. Everybody was really impressed by the look of and by the way, can you just remind me what's like the rough budget, if you know offhand, for Expedition 33?
Jeez, it's hard to know exactly. I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah, sure.
I know that it started off as an indie game. Just that
and
people
then it got
were working
bought
off
up by publishers. And
and it ended up getting a lot of investment. Because they had a certain version of the game that they were going to kind of go with. And they took that to an investment meeting where the investor said, "Oh, no, think way bigger than this," and they gave them a ton of money. But I would be shocked if it was like a lot higher than, say, 30 to 50 million.
Sure,
it's
such
certainly
a modest budget in this world we live in right now. That's so not insane.
These are internet numbers from websites reporting on it.
Do they say 10 million?
They say like 10, between 10 and 20 million.
So,
and by the way, if you just have a couple of dudes, a couple of pipe-hitting, programming artist dudes in a room, $10 million can keep those guys doing fine for like arguably like a decade. Maybe not quite a decade, but 5 years easily to get a game like that done. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is, and we actually did an episode on this where we were kind of talking about hoping that a move like this could happen for for franchises like Final Fantasy before Expedition 33 came out, and it essentially proved the point, which is should Final Fantasy, we put in quotations, downgrade to a AA game. And if I look back on all of my favorite games of the last, let's call it decade or maybe 10 to 12 years, they have all been AA level games. Like I loved Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, for instance. That's like one of my favorite games of all time. It lives in that same sort of like budgetary region as a game like Expedition 33 does. And I think that that's where the spend should be, because that requires a smaller team, a tighter knit group that are hopefully,
which by the way is better for artistry. You want like a guy that can, manage his team realistically.
Because, if you have a team of like 300 plus people, I can't remember, I wish I had known we were going to talk about this before we got on, but there's a certain like psychological principle where you can only really manage as a single human being relationships with a very kind of small group, and even with just like being able to say manage. So we'll say commander in an army, or a religious leader of a large congregation or something. You can only really manage as one person something in the 200 to 300 range. It starts going higher than that.
That's the Dunbar's number. I Googled it.
There you go. That's it. That's what I was thinking of. So if you got teams that are ballooning into the 500 plus developer range, there's just so much delegation that has to go on that the director or producers at the head cannot manage that many people. You have to scale it back in order to get everyone in sync on what the vision is.
Yeah.
And you'll have less sort of like disagreement internally and less infighting about how this should or shouldn't be approached. And so to me, that is the answer to the problem of the ballooning industry and the ballooning costs. And it's to break it up, break up these giant corporations who all have amazing talent. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. Obviously, it won't. I'm saying this is the answer. Break them up and have much smaller developers all experimenting, which is what happens when you have lower costs and lower risk, in pushing things in really interesting directions, instead of saying, God damn, we spent $250 million in this game. If we don't pull in profits at this level, we're fucked. So like we've got to play it as safe as possible and include every single type of game mechanic in the world that we know is popular in the zeitgeist right now. It's got to be open world. It's got to have these types of quests in it. It's got to have this. It's got to have that, because that's popular right now.
It's got to have item crafting, no doubt.
Yes.
Love me some item crafting.
Yes. And
I said sarcastically.
This is where there's a great video. I want to shout out the channel to, I think it's Raven Wings Plays. He did a video on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and kind of his reasons for being disappointed in it, while being someone who was really into Remake, right? So he was into the first one, soured on it in the second one. And he makes these kinds of points really, really well in how these sorts of mechanics are implemented into Final Fantasy VII in a way to which it feels like, I don't think you could declaratively say this was their reason for doing it, but feels like they were included for reasons like this. These are popular mechanics. We have to have an open world game with crafting and this and this and this and waypoints and towers to climb and all that, right? Instead of, which is so unbelievable to me, that you take what is probably the most successful JRPG ever made, and you say, we can't make that game today. It won't sell. We have to make it into Horizon Zero Dawn / any number list of big AAA games out right now. It can't be what Final Fantasy VII was.
There's an algorithm that runs, and the answer is never, in these questions these days, that these people ask themselves, maybe we just don't do anything. That's never the answer is always, manipulate it, force it into a way that generates a profit of some kind, whatever way we need to do that. And that right there is this is the momentum of the machine of profit generation, plunging along with no regard for, you know, the specifics, the wherefores and whys of how it's getting there. And it just, like exactly as you said, I heard that when they're working on Rebirth and stuff, they brought in like a lot of new young talent. They were doing a lot of hiring to, you know, to fill out the game and have new developers and new programmers. Okay, you're making a game. Makes sense. You want to bring in new people. And I bet a lot of those people, they didn't even like question having like crafting items. They're probably thinking more like, okay, so we know that this is like we go to the world map, you know, Final Fantasy VII experience for in the remake context. So what do we do in the like open world? And they're like, well, I played Elden Ring, and I sure collected a lot of items out there, and I played, I don't even know what else, Red Dead Redemption or any other game that has these things, or I played Fortnite, and I want to put Tilted Towers and Tomato Town directly into Final Fantasy VII Remake. That would make it good. And so you just do those things. You do the things that naturally occur to you as a modern gamer in an environment where you find yourself. And again, at no point do you think to yourself, wow, we've really drifted very far away from the experience of what this original game was. Dare I say we're adding a bit of bloat to the experience?
That's
but
100%
we'll never stop, though. We will never stop marching forward, though, because we literally can't. By the way, even if we wanted to, they would fire us and bring in new people that would do what they're told. This is the situation. This is the reality of the march of, it's not progress, that's for damn sure, but it's the future, I guess. Modernity, the painful march of modernity into more and more, you know, of this
Final
kind of stuff.
Fantasy VII Rebirth is to complete is like 150-hour game to quote unquote complete.
It's unbelievable.
How long is the original game, by the way? How long is the entire original game to beat?
If you were just like 60? Trying to do a total completionist run, maybe 60 hours. But I remember I did a playthrough. Yeah. I did a playthrough. I want to say like 15 years ago, where I beat the game in like 20 hours. You know.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
Now I ask you, Mike. Surely you agree that a proportional increased amount of meaning, of art, of psychological value has been added to the experience by making it like 10 times longer, right? Question mark? Do you agree?
Absolutely not. So
okay, good.
My opinion on the game is what it is, and I took a lot of flack for that. You know, when the game came out, it dropped.
Mike, you are in good company on this show right now. You are among allies and friends, and we are a bulwark against the foolishness out there.
It's been funny to see.
Tomfoolery has no place.
Yeah, it's been funny to see how that is beginning to shift. There's like a new momentum
it is.
That's kind of changing. And so like,
I'm sorry, can I just say one thing? I'm sorry, I just gotta add, I always have this one thought that's like, I know everybody, we're so excited. We love it. We love the new graphics. We want to see Cloud being real. We're suppressing our concerns about the time jannies and the weird, like, this is a sequel, not a remake, and all this weird fan fiction stuff and the insane bloat. My theories has always been, yes, there will be people that are interested in this, but there will be a slow bleed. The people will not even recognize themselves when the new game comes out and they think to themselves, meh, I don't know, wasn't that great? And they won't even know what's happening. It just will slowly assert itself within your mind, and it'll be a subconscious thing. Anyway, that's my theory. We'll see how it happens, but I'm sorry.
I think there's definitely an effect like that happens, and the closer you are to the launch of something that was as absolutely hyped as a Final Fantasy VII Remake was, as for as long as people had waited for that and asked for it, that it's going to take a few years beyond that initial launch for the investment, you know, the personal emotional investment that people put into waiting for that to die off, and for them to kind of look back on it. And I'm not saying this to say that there won't be people who will look back on it and love it. I think that
they're all idiots, and who cares about their opinion, Mike? Listen, really, but we've got to think of a name right now. I've got a concept in my mind. We can't let it slip away. There's an inverted curve that starts high and it fades down low. You're a graph guy just like me. I know you love yourself some graphs.
Yes.
We need to come up with a name at this moment for an inverse curve of that, like the immunity to criticism that it has at release that slowly over time's fade. Let's call that like the I don't want to call it the Bestman number because, like, that's my. You know what? All right. Until
Let's
we come
call
up
it
with something else,
you got it. The Bestman number.
Bestman number. It's as time goes on, it approaches 0. The number of hype beasts, of hype brains that will defend it. It starts at 1. 100% of them will defend it blindly. As it goes along, I'm gonna draw this after the episode. I will put it up on screen.
Do it.
That's the Bestman number, folks.
I'll
show it to you for sure.
This is a very real thing. The Bestman effect, the Bestman number, is a very real thing.
Yeah, the Bestman number. Yep.
It's a very real thing. And I think we're already seeing that happening, right? We're already seeing sort of a turn a bit.
Yes.
And I think you'll really start seeing it after we're a couple years removed from Revelation when it comes out. But this is not to say
that's going to be such a world-shaking thing because, like, I've got lots of theories about what they're going to do with that game. It'll sort of depend on what they actually do. Will they in fact commit to this like weird changing Destiny thing, or will they completely pussy out and like undo like all the stuff they built up? It's a little hard to say. It's kind of up in the air. I got my theories, but it will depend, and there will be a reckoning when it comes out.
I won't be surprised either way. But
me neither.
What bothers me about the remake project at this point is not the fact that people like it for what it is. Like, I'm totally okay with people are really into what this remake project is doing. What has been really irritating for me is that I will make my case or my arguments for the things that I valued about the original game and how they are changed or different, and people try to gaslight you into thinking, no, it's like 95% the same. Like, dude, you don't have to do that kind of dishonest
Rebirth
arguing.
Starts with you playing as Zack. You start playing as Zack at the beginning of Rebirth. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I play that game.
You don't have to argue on my terms about what I value. You can argue on your own terms. I like what this is. It is justified for being different in the ways that it is. I like that. That's perfectly fine as an opinion. But what you can't say is that this has not deliberately changed in multiple ways many of the core things that were part of the identity, the spirit of what that original game was. And one, not the least of which, is it's a totally different genre of game.
No doubt.
It is not a remake of what that original game was. It's a modern AAA open world game with the name and the window dressing slapped on the top of it. That's what it is.
Can I get your take on that? Do you think they did something morally wrong by calling it remake? Because I go back and forth on that question. I think that was a real bold move to go that route. And there was...
Okay, I blame them for the effect. I blame Anna for starting it. This Ava Rebuild actually destroyed. Like, Ava Rebuild is such like a nucleus starting point for this specific thing. It is insane.
Well, what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I can see the argument from a marketing perspective, right? Like the business Square Enix marketing perspective, where clearly they know that people have been asking for a remake of this game forever, and so calling it that. But I can also see it from a Nomura brain perspective, where they're thinking this is this really clever sort of table turn on what that word can mean. And that there is an artistic reason for it being done that way, in a way of surprising the audience. Whether or not you like what that surprise is, I don't think you can argue that there isn't an artistic argument to be made for why they would do that. But I think I'm kind of like you. You can kind of argue both sides of that. And so I'm not like terribly offended by the fact that they did that. But I do think that there is an element of it being misleading in the months leading up to it, where you might think you're getting one kind of thing and you feel deceived. I didn't, because I've been following this company for decades and I knew what they were going to do, and they keep doing this sort of thing over and over again. I knew what to expect. I actually initially wasn't going to get the game at all until I heard what the twist at the end was, and I was like, there is no goddamn way they did that. I don't believe that. So I ended up getting it and playing it just to check. I suppose I could have watched YouTube videos.
No doubt. That's true.
But I also wasn't planning on talking about it, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to talk about it unless I had played the game. But anyway, so I haven't even played Rebirth. But anyways, to get back to what you're saying,
I comfort myself knowing that, you know, a company really has no obligation not to lie to their consumer. It's actually based and red-pilled as fuck to lie to you. It's awesome. I love it when companies lie to me about the thing they're going to sell me. It's great. It's my favorite thing. So I'm all for it. Let's keep it going. Let's double down. They should sell their next game is called Final Fantasy IX Remake, but it's actually a remake of Final Fantasy VIII. That should be the next one. That's a big brain no more idea right there. They'll never see it coming. Dude, that's what the Final Fantasy IX remake everybody's been talking about is going to be. It's actually 8. You're too stupid to understand it. Only Nomura gets it.
I actually think it has officially been canceled at this point, but, you know,
it seems dead to me. It does seem dead to me. Yeah, I think, I want to go on record. I've been doubting that project existed for a million years. I'm sure you're well-versed with the, like, what was it? Like the rating agency or some company had to report the potential existence of it. But, like, the fact that was always behind that, people, in case it fell through the cracks, were talking about this theoretical Final Fantasy IX remake that was discussed for some time. Companies will pitch and let those guys know about projects that they're even considering doing so that they can leave space for them. And, you know, they might not make lots of those games. I think that was like a flash in the pan idea they had that was never seriously considered for longer than a little bit. But anyway, what do I know? Maybe you know more than me about that.
Mike, I gotta ask, just for the sake of documentation, did you stand, in salute and clapped when Red 13 and Cloud and the entire gang at the end of Remake see the original ending of Final Fantasy VII, like the cutscene plays, and then they say, and I quote, "We should stop that." Did you clap, Mike?
That was. I mean, I was mostly just like agape, like jaw on the floor as I witnessed like what the ending of that was and how completely insane it all became, and just had no idea what to think. But the thing is,
that's okay. You're on Internet Genius. We'll tell you what to think when you don't know. So you're in the right place, man.
I just, oh man, like, but here's the thing, and I'll give a preamble to what I'm about to say. I have spoken with sources who will remain anonymous.
Sakaguchi,
knowledgeable about what's going on. I have actually interviewed him before.
I got him on speed dial right now, guys. He's feeding me information this whole podcast.
I'm actually friends with him on Discord, for real. It's actually true.
Based? Based.
So, anyways, I've interviewed him.
Dude, I want to go surfing. Let me hook me up with a surfing sesh with Sakaguchi.
Okay, we'll do. Actually, he just moved to Los Angeles, so he's no longer in Hawaii anymore, unfortunately. I'm sure he's still
surf in LA. They still surf over there. Yeah.
Anyways, I know some people close to the situation who told me Final Fantasy IX was a real thing. But that was
but real can come in many forms. It can come in many forms of development, right?
It was, yes. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is this was in 2022 that I was told this, right? So it's been 4 years since then. Who knows what happened? I mean, like year to year, how it changed, how whatever happened. But another source, someone who I know is very well connected there, essentially confirmed to me this year that it is officially like canceled, dead. They're not returning to it. It's not happening anymore.
Okay.
So that's the FF9 thing. With Final Fantasy VII and the way that this remake series is being developed.
You're being paid off, aren't you? This is an unnamed source. You are on the payroll. You are part of big Final Fantasy IX remake, and they're trying to quash all these rumors, man. I'm on to you.
There's nothing more in the world that I wanted than a remake of Final Fantasy IX.
Well, the PC releases were kind of terrible, so it'd be nice if they could polish those up.
It would be nice,
not with a remake, but with something else. Yeah.
But with FF7 remake, that trilogy and the way that they approached it, the way that I understand it, and this would make sense given sort of what I know about Kitase and that group, is that they did not necessarily have this hard plan for all three parts at the beginning.
No, that can't be true. I don't believe it.
What?
They had options. They had options, based on what the feedback was going to be from the players. So if they really...
It hurts to hear these things, man.
If they
That's
really
not how
hated
it's meant
it...
to be.
If people really hate what we did at the end of Remake, we have a path to more faithful kind of remake, right?
Yeah.
If they love it, we have this other path to radically changing things.
Yeah.
And then there's a kind of this middle road, which is, I think, what they're trying to walk.
That's kind of what they're
Which is where they will, every major beat, every like really major beat will not be changed. But they feel free to change a lot of the stuff around it, the context surrounding it, to make you think they might. So you're in this position where it's like, oh my gosh, like they've changed this thing so much. Does that mean they're going to, like you were referencing, Noni, like change the ending of Final Fantasy VII? This is my opinion. I believe what they want is for you to be in a position where you don't know. You feel like they could do anything so that you feel surprised, but they're not actually going to really change any of the major story beats. They will pull them back and keep them the same in some way or another. And that lines up with some of Kitase's interviews over the years, kind of the way he's talked about it, like where he on the one hand wants to say we are trying to be faithful to the thing while at the same time, like in all these ways, totally freaking changing it. So that's my theory on where this is going. And I think
he's embracing the well-worn philosophy of both having your cake and also being able to eat it at the very same time. It's a brilliant plan.
100% what it is, and it's a very corporate way of approaching this. It's a very it's you can play it safe, but also pretend like you're taking big risks. And sort of like give the illusion that you're going to do something really crazy, and so people got to like find out where this is going. But in the end,
it's about hype moments and aura. 99%. That's what we're doing.
Oh boy,
yeah.
Okay, Noni from the future. Put a timestamp right here. Spoilers for fucking Final Fantasy Rebirth. If people wanna do that on their own time since the new one is coming out or whatever. I just want to say, Mike, it's like you played the game. You've seen it because you're so on point. It is actually insane. When you're playing Rebirth, there is like you meet like characters, like you talk to like fortune tellers, and there is this weird like dreams that Clouds keeps having throughout the game, which is like, you can change the future. You can save her. Can you truly avoid disaster? And it's throughout the entire 100 hour you're playing this game. They keep saying, yeah, you can maybe do that in reference to, Aeris's deaths, G moments, TM.
Right.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire game. And right at the end, what they do, Mike, is we get a little epic, little big revelation when the timeline literally splits. You get to see a timeline where a Cloud is fighting Sephiroth and stops him from killing Aerith, and you get to see a timeline where Aerith's death still happens, and then the game ends. This is insane what I'm about to say. Sephiroth descends from the multi-dimensional rift and gives the whole speech, Mike, about, you see, destroying Midgard is not enough. I'm gonna destroy every Midgard in every timeline. And he you see an image in the background of one media shattering time and space. So they wanna still have the media story of this big looming threat, but it's actually, every threat for every time. And that's how Zack is also around. Because he's also around in the other timeline.
Isn't this the whole meme behind what happens with comics? Like they eventually come to this place where they have nowhere else to go. And so that's always turns into a multi-dimensional thing. Like this is the example of a milked franchise to a level to which they don't know what to do. And so this is just inevitably where they all go when it's like, okay, Final Fantasy VII or Spider-Man or whatever it is still hugely popular. What do we do with it now? Well, multiverse. That's
we
always
evolve
the
it
answer.
To the next layer. Yeah, first of all, can I just say, Sephiroth, bro really thinks he's X-Death up in this piece. Bro really thinks he can just rule the interdimensional rift like that. You'll never be the tree, bro. You'll never be the tree. Sit down and let a real villain play, okay? You'll never be the tree.
They're so wishy-washy about what they want to actually do that, like, Aeris's death sort of stew, like, insane, like, clashing purposes, which is they kill her, but Cloud, like, is glimpsing through the timelines or whatever because of what's happening. So he, like, sees that she's still alive, but everybody else sees Aeris is, just fucking dead. And
dude, it's Schrodinger's plot device. It's whatever plot device we need once we observe it, and then we will collapse it into whatever the marketing team says we should do. Yeah, go on.
Well, isn't this exactly the point, though, that it's left ambiguous?
Yeah.
You are left not knowing, like, wait, can she still survive this in some way, or is she really dead? Like, they leave that unresolved so that based on the feedback, based on what people's opinions seem to be about what would they feel, what would the player sentiment be if they were to save her, will they now feel like, okay, we can do that in part 3?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on. I don't want.
That's really it. It just seems like such a, again, a corporate approach to storytelling, and not one where you set out with something you wanted to tell and a reason for why you wanted to tell it.
Right.
And
which,
again,
as we all know, with Sakaguchi's mother having passed away, he really had some stuff he wanted to say when he was coming up with the concept of the original game.
Right. I mean, that was so infused because his mother died during the development of FF3. But basically all through the 90s, like so many of those Square games, and even the movie Spirits Within, was infused with this Gaia hypothesis he became obsessed with. This idea of, what happens to your being, your spirit, your intelligence, your will, it kind of returns to the planet kind of thing. And there's this conglomerate intelligence that sort of like is what keeps balance in the world or whatever. He infused that into like freaking everything he made. And there are quotes from even Katase and Nomura back in the like 1997 era lead up to the release of the game, where they talked about how death and life were like such an integral part of the core theme of the game, and that they needed to put this permanence on it. This idea that like when someone is lost, it's over, they're gone. There's no coming back from that. And it was like really important to them, right? And like that element of that game, you cannot argue, is completely removed from this project. It's no longer a priority in their storytelling.
Hang on. Not only is it removed from the project, can you think of a more counterintuitive idea to the idea of the permanence of loss, of death, of being removed from something that matters to you by dragging a game from its fucking grave and puppeting around and making it like, guys, good news, guys. Your sad Eris died. She's back in the new game, boys. She's back. It's a remake. You can experience it all over again. Yes, we're changing like that. It's like, it's anathema to the very concept. And this is, it's like, I feel like I'm the asshole here sometimes because I'm like, there's sort of like some philosophical and some like meaningful artistic problems with this. And they're like, shut up, idiot. We're making money over here. We're simply not interested in whatever the hell it is you're talking about down there. Cease talking. We're making money now. And you're just like impotently being like, and by the way, I gotta say, the thing that I can actually sort of respect a company, a soulless juggernaut just plugging along and just making money and not caring about anything. It's in the nature of what it does. It's like fighting against the tide, in a sense.
Yes.
But the sheep that crawl out of the woodwork and defend any criticism and any meaningful point that's made about this, like, talk about fucking automatons, talk about zombies, just like defending something brainlessly without thinking about it. And I have no problem antagonizing those people personally. I'm happy to call them dumb, idiot, poo-poo heads that I don't respect because I'm an internet genius and you're just a little baby with a baby brain and I don't care about your opinion. I just know I'm right about this, and we're all everyone I talk to with an IQ above room temperature notes that there is something going wrong here, and then I just hear the waves of people being like 10 out of 10 10, best game of all time. I actually, to the credit of some people, I hear people that do respect. I like a lot of these people. I don't think they're the literal sharpest tacks in the shed, but I respect the shit out of these people that are like, yeah, you know, I play a lot of games. Didn't really care for this one. It was kind of weird. That is such a totally reasonable opinion to have. They're like, what's with these time jannies? What's going on with I don't understand these ghosts. So true, bro. So true. I don't understand the ghosts either.
Nobody
Doesn't make
does.
any sense.
Nobody does.
And why are they even there? I don't know. It's like the live stream, they're just new. They're new. I don't even know where they're coming from, but they're here now, and they're about the timeline protection. They're like the Green Lanterns of Final Fantasy VII Remake or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah?
Oh my god. I need to mention this
They
like
protect the
epic
world.
detail just to add it.
Okay.
Lads.
Yeah.
There is 2 time Jannies. There is 2 time Jannies. There is the white ones and the gray ones.
Yeah.
And ones are controlled by Sephiroth, and the other ones I think by Aris or something. Because Aris turns out.
Oh my god.
Aris turns out is like a multi-dimensional like god being or something.
Yeah, that
like,
sounds true. Sounds right to me. What we're describing is really what Mike said before. We're just getting so far away from like the point of telling a story, and we're just getting wrapped up in like more narrative mechanics that do absolutely nothing to better serve the meaningful content and like even the experience of what look, gameplay, dude, I could put up with like a game is like 200 hours of gameplay, and there's like a sprinkling of, of story in there, and maybe the story's good, maybe it's bad. Okay, that's fine. But that's, like, this is a JRPG. Like, the story is, like, fundamental. It's, like, a big thing. That's what everybody's playing for. And so it, like, matters a lot. It's like a novel, you know? The story is one of the quintessential main aspects. That's kind of what we're discussing completely right now. We haven't even talked about the gameplay of this quote-unquote video game, because that's not really something anyone's arguing about. The gameplay is... It's not terrible. It's, you know, it's all right. I mean, I played all of Remake. I did fight, like, all the bosses in Remake, because over time, I was like, okay, I mean, I'm learning this mechanics. It's pretty fun. The issue is all about, like, what is the point of this project narratively? And I feel like the dummy sometimes, even being like, oh, what about the story and what about the meaning? It's like, we don't care, idiot. We're making money, so... why, you know, what's even the point of saying anything?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just want to step in real quick and
Sure.
say something that... because I was kind of full circle a little bit here as we go back to my acceptance, and I've gone through the stages of grief and all that. I no longer even care at all about the fact that the remake project is what it is, and that it's different in the ways that it is, and that I don't like it, right? I'm over all of that. It's like, doesn't matter to me whatsoever. I feel nothing emotionally about this. The only part that is continuing to bother me about the surrounding discourse of this is that you can make a point like the one I did about Sakaguchi's real encounter with the death of his mother, and that being infused into the spirit of his games, and how the remake project abandons that particular element of its core theme in 100%. Pursuit of something different, where you can have Barrett get killed, like literally killed and resurrected at the end of Remake. We're all, you know, not sure about whatever the fuck is happening with Zack. And this door being left open to the Aerith question, right? As to, like, can she survive through some multiverse shenanigans or whatever?
If your mom dies in real life, comfort yourself that she's alive in so many other multiverses.
Exactly.
Isn't that a comforting thought? Yeah,
exactly.
So
you can make a point like that these two things are fundamentally different from each other, and you will have people going through the most insane 11 out of 10 mental gymnastics to try to convince you that no, it's actually the same, and it's actually even more. It's even more about that in this. That's the part I want to continue to push back against. You don't have to do that. You can like whatever this thing is going for now. That is a perfectly viable opinion to have. And you can say, I like it, I hear you, I get it. Yes, you are correctly diagnosing a difference between these two things. We live in the same shared reality. However, I like this element of it, and I like how they handled this. And I was actually talking to somebody, I had actually a really good conversation with a big Rebirth fan, who was telling me about the way that Cloud's identity crisis is sort of like visually shown and how that sort of like affected him and how he's had similar experiences with psychosis and things of that nature that spoke to him. That's a perfectly viable thing to latch onto and go, the game spoke to me in this way. I like it for that reason. That's great. I'm not going to argue with you about that. That's awesome, dude. Awesome experience. A piece of art spoke to you in a way that is unique to you. That's awesome. Don't try to gaslight me into saying that I do not understand a game that I have played literally 35 times in the course of my life and have dedicated like decades of my life researching that I don't get it.
I assume this is the moment when you began raining blows down upon him and you know, drove him to the ground 6 feet under, where he remains to this day. I assume
it's like God, the fucking discourse is so absurd to me. Like, it's just it's I don't know if it's just that, you know, it's a lot of young people and they haven't learned how to articulate their feelings or whatever. But like, my God, dude, like, there's a difference between somebody just like endlessly, brainlessly shitting on something and somebody who's actually giving you concrete examples and reasons why they fell in love with something and how absolutely objectively, observably, that has been changed in this apparent remake of the thing. And for that reason, this person did not like it. And you have to try to, I don't know, do whatever you have to do to validate how, no, you are all, it's just crazy.
You're still an ally.
Have to do this.
You're a real fan, and I've been right there with you. I've been fighting this battle. You know, they may argue, they may try to deny the truth, but the truth remains. Tifa's tits are smaller than they were in the original. We cannot deny this truth any longer. We have to embrace it so we can move on as a society.
She's wearing a sports bra.
It doesn't matter. She takes off the sports bra. Her tits are exactly the same size.
We got there. We got to it. We got to the point. You hit the home run. You brought us
home. Yeah.
I do think a lot of it has to do with Final Fantasy VII is an old game, and Final Fantasy VII Remake has newer, stronger, soldier, not strong, like newer people have only played Remake, have not played the original, have looked at it and I'm like, these fucking Lego bitches, I don't want to fucking touch them. This looks goofy as fuck. And that's it. And that's the whole context.
No, you're right. Okay, go on.
I just want to say, that is the ultimate black pilling for me. The ultimate, sad truth of all of this is people don't think about what they consume as much as you like truly even remotely give them credit for. Because I'm like, I'm thinking about like personal life or just like general like internet friends or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, man, the amount of people that have like, oh, I want to play Revelation. And I'm like, oh, okay, like fan of Final Fantasy. I'm like, oh, it looks good. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean it looks good? And it's like, oh, it looks good, as in the graphics looks good, as in, when the fucking explosion happened, there was so many particle effects. Oh, did you play Remake? Did you play Rebirth? And I'm like, nah. Do you plan to play them? Nah.
No.
That's it. A lot of people, I think the majority treat it as like the shiny new thing. And going like circling back to like an hour ago in this conversation, Mike, when you mentioned like what is like the words or like what does it mean to be a quote unquote Final Fantasy game? I think to a lot of general audience, it just means, oh, if I buy the new Final Fantasy, it will have the bestest graphics and the shiniest new explosions. And that is it. Like a genuine, real sad thing is like, oh, that's it. That is what it is.
And can you ride a chocobo in it? That's Final Fantasy.
Can you pet the chocobo? Can you
pet the chocobo?
And Noni, the thing is, there is an argument now. Elite minds such as mine have come to the conclusion that this is not the right answer. But there is a logic to the thinking that, like you said, a lot of people will look at FF7, they see the Lego-looking dudes, and they think to themselves, given like Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 6 and, all these new games coming out, they're like, that looks old and clunky. And you know what? It is old and clunky in many ways. That's true. The right answer is to like deal with it and play it anyway because it's worth it and it's really not that bad. You can look up anything you need to figure it out, especially today. And we didn't have that back in the day. But anyway, there's an argument. There is a argument that remaking as a real remake, FF7 telling the story, but in a format that like modern people would enjoy and stuff, like you update, you make it HD and, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's an argument that makes sense. They didn't do that. They did something else. Yeah. And so now you get so much confusion on this point where many people, they don't know all this stuff about the time Jannies and the time ghosts and, you know, the split timelines and stuff. They're like, oh, that's Final Fantasy VII. I'll play the next one. And it just kind of gets lumped together because most people aren't media scholars and stuff, and that's fine. It's not even a compliment. It's not even a high bar, you know. It's just people are going about their lives, doing things that are more important to them. Of course, makes total sense.
There are a lot of things more important than being terminally online and rigorously replaying a game 500 times and knowing every detail about it. The much more healthy things we do.
I would even say healthy as just like that's just not a lot of people's prerogative necessarily. It just... It comes down to, for me, that the majority, sadly, to me personally, just don't give enough of a shit to engage with the art piece. And I like mentioned the, you know, Evangelion Rebirth, which I feel like started this whole weird, it's not a sequel, it's, you know, type deal thing. The just numbers-wise, money-wise, capitalist-wise, however you want to, you know, whatever metric you want to use. The amount of people that have watched the Rebuild movies and didn't watch the original TV show is staggering. Actually perplexing. Really? To just be like, oh yeah, you watched, I watched the movies. Oh, that's crazy. How is that?
That's true.
As an experience. And it's like, oh, you know, I went to the cinemas and watched it. It was pretty fun. Oh, you know, some parts were weird. And that's it. That is where it begins and ends.
That is a large degree, Look, that's true. And this kind of gets to like, so I've got a point here that's like not a lot of fun to think about, and it like feels a little stodgy and like uncool to think. But like, unfortunately, old ass man that I am, this kind of is where my mind gets to now. And it's that like, my issue, like you said, Mike, like you've kind of like given up and you're like, look, it is what it is. I'm no longer angry about it. I've let it go. In many ways, I'm right there with you. The one problem I have is that I feel like with FF7, with a lot of media these days, I've been like letting go of these properties for like decades now. And I do feel like there has been a transformation of more meaningful content, and there's all kinds of debates and philosophies and thoughts as to why things may have been changing in this way, the kind of lives we live now compared to people a couple of decades ago, whatever, all kinds of stuff. Standards like our insane obsession with media, now that we have television, internet, phones, et cetera, in front of us all the time. I actually do worry that it's this thing that's creeping along where like we're just endlessly abandoning the field of having standards for the media we have. And by the way, it's not that there even were enforced standards. It just was sort of the cultural expectation, the kind of people that made it at the time, and that we kind of are like dumbing things down over and over and over and over and over again. And so now something like FF7, which, look, I'm sure the remake has like a lot, not obviously it's not 1-to-1, but like a large amount of like the same kind of stuff in it. But there's this idea to streamline everything and to condense it down into like, you know, consumable bites. And so many things keep getting remade, keep getting, I don't know, I would say flattened, hollowed out, corporatized. And it's sort of like an Ouroboros where it just keeps devouring itself. And it's a self-masturbatory cycle where it just consumes the same stories, puts out the same stories. None of this is like the only thing that's happening worldwide, but it's like a trend. It's a trend that seems to be getting worse. And a lot of it does seem wrapped up in like corporate ownership of IPs, unlimited amounts of times they can, like budgets inflating, endless obsession, pandering to the nostalgia of the audience. And exactly, you pointed out a very interesting point about a company going public, now being accountable to the shareholders' raw numbers are really the only thing that matters now. Whereas when you have a like private company, you know, whatever, run by like artists or even just an executive that kind of gets it. I actually think of Gabe Newell in a lot of ways when I think about this stuff, the way he runs Steam. When Gabe goes,
Steam is a great example. Steam's a great example. Like I think Steam is still private in that sense, and the way that they do things, it's very closed doors. There, you can't like look into their financials, as far as I understand it. Yeah, that's a great example of a company led by like somebody who's sort of a visionary.
A guy with a vision. Yeah, right, exactly. We're saying the same thing. A guy that is like, this is how I see games should be. And, you know, not to get too crazy philosophical about it, but like, there's this sort of thing that's kind of like the tragedy of the commons, which is like, when something becomes like universal property, the thing is like, the average person getting like at a piece of something in the form of like a stockholder or whatever, everybody involved or on like a decision or something, there are certain negatives to that, and there are certain advantages to having like a man as the captain of the ship, like a Sakaguchi versus a Kitase, or just there's infinite other examples you could use to point to something like that. And this idea that like everything should be up to like all people to decide all the time. I mean, I just think that we've got so many examples where, especially where art is concerned, it actually really doesn't work out that way. You want a visionary, and there's so many examples of this where a person with vision is at the helm of a ship making something cool, and that's why it has the personality it has and all this cool stuff. And if it's just about pursuing what the monolithic entity that owns the IP will produce the most fiduciary, feedback this fiscal quarter, we got problems. You're gonna run into these problems. That's like, whatever. Trash of the commons, et cetera, et cetera. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
This is my exact conclusion. I can't think of a single movie, game, even like whatever that I loved in, let's call it my childhood or whatever, that has not survived to the modern day and has not been in some way or another completely transformed into an abomination that I can hardly stand to look at. We could do a whole nother 5-hour episode on Star Trek if we wanted to.
That's a great talk, man. We should talk about that more sometime.
My God, I loved Star Trek so much growing up. I watched, it was one of the ways I bonded with my mother. We would watch it together. TNG, that era of like TNG into Deep Space Nine, and even into Voyager a bit. Like there was this spirit to like what Star Trek was that is unrecognizable now. Totally.
Can we just say thank you, Rick Berman? We've got to say thank you, Rick Berman. We appreciate your service, sir. You got a lot of bad press, but you know what? You were ride or die back in those 90s, man, and 2000s. So we appreciate your service.
They're like, well, let's think of some others. Lord of the Rings, like the early 2000s there. But
you said Lord of the Rings, and then I remembered Rings of Power, and had to go.
Come on, bruh.
Exactly, right? Like that.
No,
that's
guys,
another one.
Look, the orcs have families. The orcs love each other. Yeah,
Jurassic Park,
Endless
like
examples.
everything.
Endless examples.
So but that's what it is. That intellectual property is owned by some giant mega corporation. That its only interest in being the owner of this property is to generate as much money as possible from it.
Right.
And it only became popular. It only became what it was in the first place because some person's vision was doing something risky or something that there was not some sort of guarantee or promise that this was going to work out. And the result was this lightning in a bottle creation that was the result of many, many different people coming together under constraints and just
in
making
a particular
it happen.
time and place, I will add. Capturing a particular zeitgeist.
100%. And that is something you cannot reproduce. It's not possible. And yet they try to because, well, we have this huge audience and fan base that want that feeling again.
Yes, they
and
do.
They will come back seeking it again. And so they'll just keep pushing it out, but with different people at the helm. Different groups of people, artists who have totally different priorities in terms of like what they want to say.
Yeah.
And this is where I think, again, the answer is it's got to stop becoming so big. You've got to break it down. You've got to put more constraints on it. You've got to levy it out, and you've got to stop being so IP obsessed.
So can I point to 2 examples real quick on this front? Because this just makes me think immediately of, again, I'm going to bring it up, my beloved Neo Twoey. Neo Twoey, AA game at best. It was fantastic. One of the best, and just like it was the game that the original Twoey team wanted to make. It was new. It was cool. Was it like the greatest game of all time? No, but I felt soul from Neo Twoey like I had not for quite some time. And you know what? It was literally better This is the other thing. It is literally better when it's like lower fidelity, lower res. Because you know what happens
100%.
when things are lower fidelity? You have to focus on the art style. That's what happens, and that's how you make it memorable. And that's what they did, and it was awesome. And I just want to point out that like that happened. That was like a what would you call it? That's like a there's a word for this. A thing's hanging on it's a bag on your hip. That's what I'm looking. It was like. The TWEWY team was just like this dregs, this like low down. Square Enix is like, oh my god, yes, I know you people care about this. We don't care. We're making Final Fantasy 18, 17, whatever over here. Just shut up. Okay, fine. We'll let you make your new game because you just like proved that there's enough demand for it, and then it bombed. There's suspicious things going on there, I think. But the game was great. And then I just think of the other example here. We mentioned Star Trek. Again, Star Trek is doing not so good. It is not looking good. The fans are not enjoying it. Discovery, not good. Strange New Worlds, not doing very well, etc., etc. Picard is a total abomination, and the people at Paramount are like, holy shit, this is not going well. Okay, we've got to do a season 3. Terry Metalis, sure, I guess. Just take the dregs, take the scraps, and Terry Metalis did the best he could to actually make something resembling decent Trek again and undoing some of the damage. It didn't undo it all, not even close, but he tried. And I just want to point out this pattern of like, it's these like little projects, not the ones spotlighted by like the big dogs of the AAA thing. Exactly like you're saying, Mike. It's these little ones in the cover of darkness that are able to make something like actually good, because that's where artistry is able to live. It's like a bacteria can't survive being like observed by like a high-powered light. It has to like grow and develop or like it's like a sun when you focus a magnifying glass on a plant. It'll light on fire and burn and die. But if you just give it a gentle amount of sun, maybe off to the side a little bit, it can grow and flourish. And that's like the human spirit that needs to be allowed to develop. Yes, this is my point. I think it's very clear. We're on the same page.
100%. I would argue that good art cannot exist in the environments we're talking about, the corporate environments we're talking about. It cannot get off the ground. It cannot thrive. It cannot live there. That is not an environment conducive to the conditions that are necessary for a really great piece of art to be created and to thrive. Now, are there going to be exceptions to that? Certainly, but I think they're really rare and few between.
Well,
and
can
all
I
of
ask
the
one
stuff.
question about that, if you don't mind? So you're the expert here, clearly, on this, and I've always wondered, and it sounds like you might be able to fill me in a little bit. The example I always use, it's like, okay, it's not like nothing can ever good come from a corporate environment, so I get to some degree it needs to exist. And the example I always think of is literally Final Fantasy VII in, 97 or whatever. Like, that was a pretty sizable team, as I recall. Like, a couple hundred people were working on it. Does that sound about right?
I think that at its peak, it was something like 100, but for a lot of the core development, it's probably closer to more like 30, 40, something in that range.
Well, okay, that's obviously not anywhere close to the kind of teams we see working on things today. So whatever. That's like a big gulp. So it's less than I thought. I respect. This is the dual nature of this thing. That's such a contradiction, such a clusterfuck. I don't know if we'll ever find a way to manage it successfully. I hope we do. That you need to like organize capital and energy and human resources in order to make something cool, like a video game, a very complex medium that needs serious investment and time and energy put into it to make it good. And not to mention being like groundbreaking the way Final Fantasy VII was. And those boys worked real hard with all the tech stuff they had to overcome back in the 90s and 2000s as this was all evolving so quickly. It's like 3D was being born basically in the space, and before, of course. But yeah, it just you need to unite capital with high performance people, but you just can't let that be sublimated or subsumed rather to the wills of pure nihilistic greed. And I'm not exactly sure how we balance that. Yeah.
Right.
It is the obsession with making $1 billion. This game needs to not make money. It needs to make all the money in the universe. It needs to be the most popular online game. It needs to be, top of the sales charts. It needs to hit all these insane metrics that you can't impossibly hit. So, like, it becomes like, like TWEWY. What was the budget? 50 million, maybe? Like, small team?
I don't know,
Not even that, perhaps? And you compare it to, like, Well, it's 300, 400 million in this, so like it better succeed, bucko. It better. And let me make sure we're gonna make sure it succeeds because we're gonna have 7 other studios involved, and you're gonna have all the manpower in the universe at your disposal.
And that doesn't help. Like that doesn't
No, it
help.
doesn't.
Throwing more money or people at a problem is not the solution. The solution is actually, maybe unintuitively to those who are in business, the opposite. It's putting more constraints. It's scaling back. It's spending less. It's forcing those creatives to get really creative to solve a problem.
Hey, have you
seen
No Country for
really
Old Men?
novel is made.
Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
It's like our boy Anton Chigurh said, you use one tool, the right tool for the job. You don't send a million billion tools to, fix one broken nut or whatever it is on the project.
Yes, very, very wise words from a very wise man.
Indeed. A very moral man. He's our, he's our moral arbiter. No doubt about it.
Oh, God.
Like you said, Nate, the priorities just are skewed so far in, please, let's make all the money. Like, example... Jesus Christ. This is insane to even say it out loud if you sit down and be like, oh my God. Cyberpunk 2077. The fact that game made its fucking money before it came out just from pure pre-orders, it's
unbelievable.
Talk about a bad incentive structure. Yeah.
It did it. It did
The people don't need to know. I'm not interested in knowing if the game is good. I just know I'm paying for it. That's all I need to know.
Crazy.
That's my info.
Crazy.
So it did that.
What a great
and
system.
then they released it all broken. But obviously the game already made its budget, already made, millions of dollars. So the investors were fine with it. They were like, oh, yeah.
Hey, can I propose something here real quick? So the existence of pre-orders used to serve the following purpose. There were limited physical releases of discs or cartridges or whatever. It served that purpose. Hey, I notice a sneaky little thing is happening here now where almost everybody does digital downloads and whatnot. There is absolutely no limit. I know a lot of people like hardware. That's fine. Good for you. But a lot of people do digital downloads. There is no limitation. And yet we're still doing pre-orders. Why is that? Maybe it's because it's just a great way to suck the money from you before we before we have to release the game and have it confirmed as good or bad or whatever. Hey, here's a crazy idea. What if we made it illegal to do pre-purchase for video games? What if we just did that?
Right.
I feel like that might help a lot.
Here's the thing though. The industry is now so dependent on the influx of money from those pre-orders and from that initial hype or whatever. That's actually how a lot of games get funded, is they don't even have a game yet, right? They are giving you a concept, and the amount of attention that is given to the trailers, online videos, whatever, is what they then take to investment groups to get funded for that thing. They don't even have the team assembled, right? They do.
Right.
This is how backwards
and they're
the
selling
industry
pre-orders.
is.
Pre-orders,
yes.
man. Okay,
this is how backwards the industry is. It's not like they're using this money that comes in from the last game that you sold that did well, and then you're investing that now concretely into the new thing. That's not the way that this business is run. It's entirely built on, can I put together a package in the form of early announcement material that will get me in the door of a big investment group who will pay to make the game. And that's why games take 10 freaking years to make. It's because when they show it to you, that there's no game. It hasn't even begun being developed yet. It's just a promise that they hope will give them the interest from those who can actually fund the thing. It's unbelievable the way that this business is run. It's so completely out of control and not sustainable. And the only way to counteract that is to not build a game that costs $300 million.
All signs point to lower the budgets, make less, crazy AAA games. All signs are saying do that. Because obviously you need money to pay people to make the game. There has to be some money sitting there, either from a company that's already doing well and has revenue and stuff, or there's some investors that are willing to support it and stuff. So yeah, you got to have money. We live in this world. It makes sense. You got to do that. But how do we balance that with not ruining the whole experience?
But guys, maybe this $200 million, $700 million project, guys, maybe it's gonna be the next Overwatch. Maybe it's gonna be the next Candy Crush, guys. Maybe.
Yo, shout out to Concord Bros. Stand and be counted in the comments right now. Press C for Concord in the comments right now.
Shout out to Chads, the High God Chad out there.
but if think about like this is probably outside of my wheelhouse a little bit, but like the games that are the most popular, right? Like the most played. I can't think of one that came from the AAA corporate machine that is like the most played right now. It's like a Minecraft comes out of nowhere.
I don't know. Yeah,
a Minecraft comes out of nowhere, or a Roblox comes out of nowhere. They become that, but in their origins, something that has that kind of enormous mega reach and hugely blows up. It's really hard. Outside of maybe like Rockstar with their GTA, but even that, I mean, in its origin, like the original one that became what it was not born from this giant corporate machine. It is something small that gets gobbled up by that industry. And so you cannot create the next one of those in that environment. It's going to come from some dude in his garage making some weird experimental thing that nobody in a corporate board meeting would imagine the next big, huge, successful game looks like.
If they could imagine it, they would have been doing it. But
exactly.
No, you need the of course.
So we're talking about something like Fortnite. In the heyday of Call of Duty and this realistic military shooter being at the height of its popularity, they're not sitting in a corporate meeting going, you know what, this really cartoony arena thing, like that's not what they think of. It doesn't get born from there. It gets born from way outside of that environment.
Can I make a point as well to say that where did Fortnite even come from? Fortnite came from PUBG. Where did PUBG come from? It was like a mod some dude made of, what was it, like Counter-Strike or something? Some dude came up with that, and then the corporations were like, wow, a lot of people like this. Let's like make it, but with like anime girls that are like doing Nicki Minaj dances or whatever else is happening in that game right now. Like, we can see it before our very eyes, the way that the flow goes from, like, a dude with an idea. And in some sense, that's not, like, the worst thing in the world. But what is bad is when we're seeing so many bad incentives being misaligned. And, like, again, something has gone so wrong that we got all these really cool Final Fantasy games year after year after year, 90s, 2000s, etc. It was, like, the best time in history for video games. So we have better technology. We have higher powered computers. We've got infinitely more storage space, and the games take 10 times longer, and they're 10 times more expensive to make, and they sometimes don't even sell as well as back then. Like, what's the upside?
Averagely worse, too. I mean, on average, just quality
and that's probably due to, like, incentives, like, they're focused too much on graphics, they're not focusing on the story enough, blah, blah. Like, maybe they had, like, real cool fantasy writer people that were working on the games in the 90s, but now they push those out for, like, I mean, you could say maybe, like, Hollywood writers, but just, like, you know, boardroom writers that are just trying to make something that'll appeal to people. It's just the humanity, man. That's what it was about, and I really like to look at that picture. You got to put this up of, like, John Carmack and the Doom dudes. We all know the picture of them looking at the camera. There's, like, a picture of, like, what are they, like 20-something-year-old making Doom, like the most revolutionary shooting game of all time, except maybe Wolfenstein, but whatever. But like that right there is the indomitable human spirit. A bunch of dudes cranking down some code, smashing, I don't know, pizza and Modelo's or something, and just whipping up a cool thing because they think that it's dope. Anything that gets in between my boys making something cool and makes it about, like, soullessly draining them and turning it into, like, an IP that you can just milk and make cringe and not even cool anymore, I got a problem with whatever gets in between those two things. We got to free our boys. That's what we got to do.
I cannot see the logic of being Sony, you know? Being Sony, you know, in your evil, you know, obviously darkly lit, everybody's, you know, fucking glasses, just be like, guys... Concord.
Yeah.
$400 million just gone in a week, lads. It happened. And then being like, in the June reports, being like, guys, we're still gonna make more live service games. We're gonna do it. Don't worry about it. It's our third attempt. Destiny just exploded and it like literally just exploded. It doesn't exist anymore. We're still gonna do it again. Don't worry about it.
Dude, the one thing that is real, I mean, we're getting close to the end here. We got to wrap up pretty soon. We're at our 2-hour mark, but I just want to say the thing that bothers me, that keeps me up at night, is that like I kind of feel it's kind of like the worst case scenario for AI. I really mean it. This is a runaway train. I don't think we even can stop it. I think we have put systems in place that really are self-perpetuating, and any human components that are not operating at peak efficiency will be swapped out and replaced with something else, and it's just going to continue. That's why I say this. I know this is terrible consequence. I don't want this to happen, but serious economic collapse is like the only way this actually stops and a reassessment is done. And it's going to be terrible if that happens, but I really do not see anything else happening. I think we're locked in. I'm with you. I want them to just choose to make smaller budget games and let the teams be creative and stuff. But but where's it happening though? That doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. So, that's my doom pill.
To just even add more doom, because of what Mike said about you can never have these hits in a corporate environment. Lads, we all know, we keep seeing it in the headlines about how GTA 5 Online makes all the money ever somehow.
Yeah.
And it's still doing it. Guys, Rockstar Games did make Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, and that shit's it didn't work out. It just didn't. With all their money and wisdom, and they own the same thing, it just didn't have the sauce. It just didn't have the sauce.
It just doesn't hit sometimes, I guess. It has to be the right place at the right time.
I have two things, and then I'll let this kind of be like my final points, and we can kind of wrap up or whatever. On the point about the runaway train and the doom...
The doom
what
pill.
I can
We're
see,
on the doom pill.
what I could see being possibly an alternative to that is a collapse, something like what the 80s gaming collapse was, right? Where the big losers in this are those big corporations that all of a sudden become disinterested in funding this stuff.
Sure.
But I don't think there's ever going to be people who stop being interested in making cool games.
I agree.
And finding some way to distribute that, and then having that sort of be a revival or a large pivot as to what the future of that industry looks like. But I do think it would take a major collapse, which I invite completely, wholly, 100%.
Me too.
No, same. Same.
Second,
I pray my knees on the ground to Allah in the sky that GTA 6 fucking fails.
If GTA 6 fails, we're winning. We're so back, boys. If it just craters, that could be our moment to rise. We'll see.
Yeah.
And us, the most oppressed minority gamers, will seize our birthright once again.
Yeah.
Any day now.
So my the other thing I wanted to say was that this brought to my mind was, this is why people who make the argument about you being blinded by nostalgia or whatever because you just like the stuff from your childhood and you don't like anything now, why this argument is so brain dead. Because the argument for those who have really thought it through and can articulate why they feel the way they feel, it has nothing to do with, but I liked how I felt as a child and I miss that. That's not the point here. The point here is an argument about corporate environments. The idea about corporate greed, which is what the whole fucking Final Fantasy VII game was about to begin with.
It sure was. I forgot about that.
That is what we don't like in the modern day. It's not like I haven't played a ton of games in the last 10 years that I've loved. My favorite game of all time is Outer Wilds, which is
great game, amazing game.
Oh my
so good.
God, I love it.
Revolutionary, dare I say. Never played a game like it. What a trip. What a trip that was.
And I don't know when that came out. Was it maybe late 2019 to 2021, maybe something like that?
Yeah, something like
that. That's within the last decade, right? Hyper Light Drifter. There's Hellblade is one that I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of games in the modern age that I've really loved. It's not an issue of I don't like things today because I'm an old man shaking my fist at the clouds. And it's not that there isn't great stuff being made now. There is. There's not great Star Trek being made now, is the point.
No.
And that's because good Star Trek can't be made in the environment it's being developed in.
Indeed.
For many reasons. It's just and so the argument is not about things were better in my day. The argument is things are better when they are not run by the corporate machine. That is ultimately the point.
Fact check, true.
Like,
indisputable.
100%.
Seems to be the case. Yeah.
So don't come at me with this nostalgia bullshit. That's not the reason I don't like Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm so tired.
It's the final cope. It's the final cope of people that are running out of arguments against this. They'll hear this entire conversation and say, "So what you're saying is you're blinded by nostalgia." I'm hearing nostalgia blindness and all these words, and I mean,
I didn't even exist when Final Fantasy VII came out, and I still think it's a better game.
Yes, even the lowly Noni over here can say that Final Fantasy 15 wasn't the best game of all time. We had some better things going on in earlier days. Noni, have you played like the original Final Fantasy 7?
Yes.
I'm just curious.
Yes, I played it.
There you go. Done.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, claim some false valor about its quality.
No.
I didn't like it as much as that, but
That's fine.
Yeah. But I still think Final Fantasy VII the original is better than Remake and Rebirth by like a lot.
Well, shit,
by like a lot.
There you go. Yo, just one more shout out to the low IQ chuds who I love so dearly that are like, that game was weird. I didn't really like it. So real, so me. I feel you, brothers. We are kinsmen. You're my boys for life, no doubt. We love the poorly educated on this show, okay? We love them. They're our target demographic. We will educate you with the right opinions here. That's what we're here to do. Thank you for joining.
It was great, man.
Yeah, I know. An inspiring message for the troops at home.
Love it.
Nate, I think as we're closing the episode, we should follow the example of the greatest game funded of all time, Star Citizen. A game that doesn't exist, that has a funding of $1 billion fucking dollars. And I think,
any day now, okay?
And you could help us reach $1 billion to
patreon.com/internetgenius. Yes, go listen to our bonus episodes, guys. That podcast is exactly as real as Starfield. You're gonna love it just as much as you love giving money to Starfield every day. Guys, you got to do it. Raise your IQ. We'll help you do it. Go to the Patreon, Internet Genius. You know what it is. Hey, this has been absolutely fabulous. Mike, thank you for coming on. Mikey, can I call you Mikey?
Yeah, you can call me Mikey. I'm cool with that. I've
just
been
don't
called
call
that
late
my
for
whole
dinner.
life.
Okay, there you go. All right, great. Hey, man, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We've got to talk more. I mean, there's so much more. I had a list of I want to talk about, I know you're working on a big Chrono Trigger video coming sometime soon.
The best game ever made.
Dude, I played Chrono Trigger late in my JRPG career, and once again, not nostalgia. I was like, this is like the best story, the best constructed game ever made. Just because I know what makes a game fun. Unreal, unbelievably good game. Yeah, so good. So I'm really stoked to see what you guys have to say about that.
Yes, and absolutely, we got to do this again. We got to have you on our show. So let's talk about that. Let's get you on our podcast.
Do you guys do
100%.
swears? Do you guys do swears on your show? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's totally fine. Absolutely fine.
It's fine?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that I kind of censor myself, but that's a totally different issue. Other people can say whatever they want.
Well, dude, hey, if you want that real internet genius sauce, hey, now you're imbued with it now. You're carrying it with you everywhere you go.
That's
right.
You've
been on this
I've been blessed with the holy water of the internet.
You've been impregnated. I have impregnated you over the course of this episode with the internet genius sauce. You're welcome. Tell your friends about it. They can come to me for some sauce too.
We'll do it.
No, man, dude, that'd be great. Let's talk more. Had a great time. Can't wait to talk about more stuff. Man, and of course, this bugbear, this goddamn Final Fantasy VII Remake, it looms over every conversation I have all the time. We will make an effort to talk about something else.
Yes, that'd be great. That'd be great. It'd be great to get onto another topic for sure.
For once in my life. Okay, let's go. Hey, thank you so much, guys. Obviously, go watch Mike's stuff over at Resonant Arc. Anything else you want to plug in particular? Any other channels?
No. I appreciate being here, and if anyone is a big Chrono Trigger fan, we're going to have an analysis series. That's kind of like what we do. We do like a series of videos on a game, and we really deep dive into that. And so that's coming probably within the next month or so, where we're going to start releasing those. So that's our next big project.
By the way, can I just say, I think that is such a great model, because the problem I always had on Best Guy Ever was I'm like, I gotta make the one video about like Kingdom Hearts 3 or what, and I did split that into 2 and stuff. That's such a burden, but like doing it in parts like that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, you guys are great. I mean, you were I listened to a lot of your Expedition 33 talk, stole a lot of your ideas and pretended they were my own. I think I gave you credit, guys. I think I did. But no, you were great. You were insightful. And we barely even got to talk about how like Renoir was right, and you are aware of that obvious truth in reality. Noni here doesn't know what the hell's going on in Expedition 33 and is all confused about his opinions. Noni, I try to educate you, buddy, but you just won't listen.
Noel was right. Noel was right. They're real people. Genociding billions is wrong.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No. It's based. We love killing billions. We'll talk about it more another time. We'll explain it all another day. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you on the next episode of Internet Genius. Goodbye. Guys, say goodbye with me real quick. Goodbye. Goodbye. Work sucks. Food's cold. No sleep. Getting old. Maybe it's time to figure it out. Think it up. What life's about. I need Internet Genius, bringing all the best ideas. Certified right boys all the time. If you want the correct opinion, here's mine. Internet Genius, where the